Hey Cortana, what's the temperature outside?
Right now, it's 83 and sunny.
So if you ever wanted a personal assistant at your beck and call, it's time to take that old Toshiba Mini 7 and you can upgrade it to Windows 10 and have a nice little digital personal assistant sitting around to ask questions whenever something occurs to you to ask. So here's how to upgrade your Toshiba Encore Mini 7 from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10. It's a difficult upgrade because of limited space on the system. You're going to have to jump through some hoops to clear out the space. You're going to need some extra hardware to make sure you have power and all that when you're going ahead and doing the install. So just follow these instructions and you should be fine. By now you've probably seen this on your Toshiba or you've tried to do this already, saying that Windows 10 is downloading or ready to download for your Toshiba tablet. Now, if you have an Encore Mini 8, you're probably in good shape. If you have a Mini 7, it's impossible to upgrade this. However, with a little diligence and a little trial and tribulation, I found out a way to do it. Okay, you'll need some hardware. So since there's a single USB connection, you can't have data and power connected at the same time. That's a problem. So what I've done is I've identified some requirements. Now here's a long list, and what I've done, we're going to go over each one of these piece by piece, and I'm going to show you what I chose as a product to make sure that you have everything you need. Again, this costs about 40 or 50 bucks. You may just want to invest in a different tablet. But here, first of all, the Toshiba has a notoriously bad charging system with standard chargers, so you need a new charger. And what I bought was this one here. And by the way, the links will be in the description for all these products. But this has a high amp connector for tablets and high-powered phones. Now, I also bought a special micro USB cable, and it has ability to plug in to power with the red connector and data out to get to a data connection and to the tablet all at the same time. So it's very important. That way you can have power and data connections going simultaneously during your upload and download. Well, and with that, okay, I had to change the male output from that cable to female so I could plug in a USB device. So I bought a double female connector here. They're both females on both ends, and it allows you to do that conversion. So then after that, I created a hub because I wanted to have a mouse. I wanted to have different USB SD cards and all that. So I bought this hub that plugs into that female connection. And you can selectively turn on each one of these. It's a great hub to have around for other reasons as well. Next is the external micro SD card for Windows 10 use. We're going to download Windows 10. This one here, I bought this, is called a to-go because it has connections on both ends. It has a micro on one end and a standard USB on the other. So you can use it on whatever device you want. You can choose your own one as well. And then I also bought a external USB because I'm going to move the recovery drive from the tablet to an external SD card here. So I have an external SD card here that I'm going to put the recovery system on, and because we're going to use that space on the tablet. And lastly, I used a wire mouse because this particular procedure requires you to load up the Windows 10 installation, and it requires a mouse to do it because the touchscreen doesn't work during it. So first we're connected up, so you have to have a good charge. But with that dual cable, you don't have to worry about this so much because you have power on constantly. But yet the tablet does drain power faster than it charges. So here's how you connect everything. So this is all laid out here in the order in which we're going to connect it. And we're going to start looking at this with the battery charger, or the power charger at the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do is that we connect up the red connector to the 2.1 amp connector on the charger. That way you know you have power that's going to be going to your tablet. The next thing you're going to do is plug in your tablet. So there you have your tablet connected. So now you're good to go, and yet you can now hook up all the data connections. So the next thing, there's the female adapter that makes the male into a female, and that allows you to hook up other things to it. And so we can hook up more than one. We're going to go on to the next thing, which is the hub, but we're going to have the external drives here and stuff for that. So once you have all this connected and the hub connected, it's just a matter of connecting up your mouse and your other storage devices to that, and now you're all ready to go. A little complicated, but again, it worked well for this installation. The next thing you need to do is to update the BIOS. Now you need to go to the Encore site and go look at BIOS and update that. Now this says 1.4, but since then they've released a 1.6. So you need to do the same procedures, but with a 1.6 upgrade. So it's going to go through here and update your BIOS. Now you have to be, if you've never done a BIOS upgrade, it's pretty straightforward here, but you cannot interrupt this because it'll just crash your BIOS and you're pretty much, well, stuck with a half configured system. So make sure you get it'll complete normally. It really was very simple, and then we can move on to the next step. Now, we're going to download Windows 10 Home, which is the version that's on your tablet. And over here, this is how you download the install files and procedures for that from Microsoft's site. Now, if you're running it, you're going to run this program from a 32 or 64-bit. Most people have 64-bit nowadays. It's not about the tablet. It's about what system you're going to run this install procedure from, or the download procedure. So you go ahead and do all that, do the download. It comes up and says, I'm going to, what do I want to do? I want to go ahead and install it now? No. I want to install it for another PC, so we're going to download the files. So then we go here and we click on that and we say next, and then we go here and you choose what language you're going to be using. This is going to download the right ones. You can download the 32-bit or 64-bit or both, okay? And you're going to put it on an SD card, and that's the SD card we talked about. One of the two SD cards we talked about that you're going to be able to do. So I want to say okay, and this is, I had two plugged in. So I just choose which one I want to create. It's going to erase everything on that SD card. So we go there, and there it is. And I got that flash drive. So we're going to go ahead and run the installation, or the download. Now I didn't have the USB drive in, so I had to put it in, and then I have to click on the refresh up here. And there it is there. And say next. And it starts downloading Windows 10. Now this takes quite a while, but I'm going to cut it down here so that you can see how quickly there's different steps instead of waiting the whole time. So we jumping over here to where it's downloading it first. Then it verifies the download, and then it creates the media. Actually blanks out your USB drive, and then rewrites the files that you need out to the USB drive, and tells you it's ready. So one of the first things you have to have all the hardware, you have to clean out enough hard drive space. Now you'll notice here from the snapshot, I only had 561 meg free of the 10 gigabytes available. And so when I launched the program, you see it's doing all the check-ins. Yep, everything's great. Oh, but Windows needs more space. And there was no way to do it. I could sit there and try to do disk cleanup. I put in the recovery things. It didn't care about those. All it cared about was having enough space on the hard drive or on the SSD inside the Toshiba, because every time I tried it, it failed to do it. So what to do? There was no space available. So what I decided to do was reset the PC. I went to the thing, did all that, and cleaned everything so I could have more space. And it reset the PC back to factory settings. So here it is at 8.1 factory setting. One user installed, no history, no nothing, and it still came up with it needs more space. And it tells me here that I need 5.42 gigabyte on the drive C. So, time to create an external recovery drive and move the recovery sector off of the recovery segment of the hard drive off of that. So first thing I did is I looked over here and I just searched for the recovery utility that's included with your PC. So there it is there, create a recovery drive. So I clicked on that, went there, and here's the steps we're going to go through to do a recovery. So first thing it does, it goes out and checks your system, says, hey, I need a USB flash drive. This is where I'm using the other flash drive, not the one I used to download the Windows on, but the other one. This is going to keep basically so that you can restore to Windows 8.1 if necessary, but also later on you can use it for, after you upgrade, to do this again and create a recovery drive for Windows 10. So it goes out, it starts doing the recovery. I'm skipping, of course, a lot of the time and time involved. And it says, oh, now the recovery drive is complete. So now you have a way to recover your system. Very important to do that. So because we're going to delete the recover partition on the drive. So if you look here, you'll see there's a 3.61 gigabyte, at least on the 7 model, recovery, which we're going to need. So we're going to go out and try and recover that. Well, there's some DOS utilities that you supposedly can use to do that. So I found out about them out there, and it's really not hard to find that information, but basically it's a waste of time. Because even with administrator privileges, I tried to use the utility here that lets you go out and delete the recovery partition. It would not let me do it. It's protected, it kept telling me. So I go out to this part here, I run it, I go out here and say, oh, I select the right volume and everything, but I kept getting a, you're not allowed to do that. So that wasn't it. So here's the solution. You run a partial Windows 10 installation. Now, the truth be told, since I did this, Microsoft has changed their systems where you can do a complete install and they'll detect your hardware configuration and look up your serial number because it uses an algorithm to create it, and it'll do it for you. But to be safe, I would run the partial install and let it upgrade while it's still installed on your system. To do that, you go out to the settings and you select to reboot from another recovery, and then you choose an option which you want to know which one. So use a device, which is one of the things that you put in the Windows 10 download that you did, and you go over here and you select that device and it reboots. Now this is where you're going to need a mouse to operate these menus because the touchscreen doesn't work during this. So you have to go out here and select what you're going to do. So you go over here, you click on the license terms and all that, and you're going to say next here, of course. Now, once you're here, you have to decide which ones, which type of install you want to do. So we're going to choose the install Windows only. Now this is the advanced version, okay? So we go out here and we do that, and it says, oh, look, we need free space because there's not free space. That's all there is to it. It can't do its installed either. So what we do is we go out here and we look and we see we have the 3.6 gigabyte here. That's what we're going to delete. So we're going to go out there and we're going to go here and say click. We're going to highlight it first. It's not highlighted here, but you need to highlight the 3.6 gigabyte and say delete that partition. Okay, just like we show here. So once that's highlighted and all that, and you click on delete, it should go through and make it available. And then we're going to click on to the other one and say extend the partition. That's the 10.7 gigabyte. And that's going to allow that to merge into one. And now we have 14.3 gigabytes available. Now previously I would have stopped here and just done the partial install so that you can just run the upgrade from the PC. So you have a decision to make whether you want to do a full install or let it do the upgrade. Now for a full install, you're going to need your Windows 7 and Windows 8 serial number, which do not come with your PC anymore. You have to use a utility to extract it. Or Microsoft will recognize your previous hardware as a registered product and go ahead and give you a new serial number. Now, if you bought this as an OEM, in other words, if somebody else made it, it has an OEM license, it can be installed on the same machine. It cannot be installed on a different machine. Same if you built your own system, and you can't reuse an OEM unless it's on the same hardware. Now, since you're doing it on the same tablet, you should have no problem. Even if you install a fresh install, Windows will recognize your hardware and give you your proper serial number. It should work fine. But, so I would still choose to reboot because instead of doing a fresh complete install and wiping out your old installation. So that's why I did cancel out of this. We want to reboot. So we're going to reboot. And look, there we are with Windows. And we've got 7.17 gigabyte available now, and the recovery partition is gone, but you've got it off on the separate SSD. So, time to perform the upgrade. So, there we are. We run the upgrade, and now we do the old thing. It checks everything, and it passes this time. When we get to the great, we'll get the upgrade started. And we say accept here. And then you'll see the normal screens, upgrading Windows, all those kind of screens, and go through the entire normal Windows 10 upgrade. Then what you get to see is your tablet running Windows 10. Fully functional, works great, speedy, not bad for a little 1 gigahertz processor and everything, but that's a Toshiba Mini 7 running Windows 10. Now it comes up, like you can see, in tablet mode, which is a full screen menu, but you can change that as you like. So there you have it. That's how you upgrade your Mini 7. It's a little complicated. I suggest running through these procedures, these steps first again to make sure you understand them. Send me a question in a comment if you have any questions. Make sure you get the hardware and software you need, and you should be good to go. And it's no longer a dead piece of junk, but a nice little tablet to have hanging around the house. One last thing though, you need to go ahead and create another recovery drive, either right over your 8.1 external recovery, or go through those same procedure to create an external recovery drive, because remember, you don't have that recovery partition on your system, especially if you just did the plain upgrade. So make sure you do that before you do anything else on your system. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe to Old Guy Geek. Come on back for Windows 8 and Windows 10, and Windows Phone 8 and Windows 10, and general how-to videos, all here to help you make the most out of your system.